All right, for this next set of problems, all I wanted you to do is graph these two things using your calculator, okay, which seems pretty simple. Oh, you just put it in the calculator, whatever. But I just want to explore some of the settings that may affect the way this graph looks. So the first one, first of all, let's look at it. If we look about it, the period of this is going to be 4 pi. Okay, that's an important thing to understand. Okay. All right, so in the calculator, if I'm here, first of all, I'm going to make sure I'm in the right mode, which I already set my mode to polar mode. I'm in radians. That's what I want. I'll just leave the window as it is, and I'm just going to type in what we're looking at. 3 plus 5 sine of theta over 2. Okay, and we're going to graph it. And there it is. Nice. We've seen that before. Looks like a butt. But let's just look at the window here. Okay, and what we can see is that it says theta min is 0 and theta max is essentially 2 pi. Well, that means it's going to plot points for values of theta between 0 and 2 pi. The problem is the period is 4 pi. Okay, so let's change this to 4 pi. Okay, and I just type in 4 pi, I press enter, and that automatically computes what it is. And now let's look at the graph. So that wasn't all of it. Okay, there was more to it than we saw, because when we did this window, when theta max was 2 pi, then we need to, it didn't graph the whole thing. Okay, so that's an important thing to understand when you're using your calculator to graph these things, is that we have to go out to at least the period here. Okay, and actually if we look at this, I think I have a better picture of how that graph really looks. So, you know, we only got this part, and then there was also this part that occurred after 2 pi. Okay, so you have to watch out for that. All right, the next one was this one here. So what is the period of this one? Well, let's see. It's 2 pi over 3, or 2 theta over 3. And so remember that the period is equal to 2 pi over this. Well, that's over 2/3 actually. And so if you do all that math, that's a period of, I believe, so this period is going to be 3 pi. Okay, so let's go back to the calculator, and actually let me reset the window to sort of the standard. Okay, and that's our graph from before, which we knew the standard window wasn't good enough. So I just want to show you that that's the standard window. And I'm going to change it to this one. 2 theta over 3 is the angle. Okay, I'm going to graph it. And there it is. And it looks incomplete. Well, yeah, it's because we said that the period was 3 pi. So let's change the window, and maybe we should just change it to 3 pi. And let's see what happens. Okay, so it's got this little swirly thing right here. So maybe that's it. But it's, you know, I don't know. What if we changed it to 4 pi? Let's see what happens. Now, whoa, it's graphed some more, but it doesn't even seem to be done. So here's the thing that you have to consider, is that first of all, this theta max should be a multiple of 2 pi. But it also should be a multiple of this period here. Okay? So we're looking for the smallest multiple of 2 pi that's also a multiple of 3 pi. Well, that's going to be 6 pi. So we need the window to go out to 6 pi here. And that'll give us the complete graph. Now that one's pretty whacked out. You got some crazy stuff going on there. And so actually that's how that one ends up looking. So notice that when you're using your calculator, you have to pay attention to what this window is. Okay, the default window doesn't always work the best. Okay, and there's also some other things here that we need to look at. What is theta step? Okay, what if I change theta step to like 1? Okay, let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, now that looks real weird. It's all jaggedy, if that's a word. And so what is theta step actually doing? Well, if you think about it, what it's doing is it's plotting a point every 1 radian. Okay, and remember 1 radian is like 57 degrees or something. So it's plotting a point every 57 degrees, or roughly 60 degrees. So it's plotting a point on this axis. Then it's plotting a point here. Then it's plotting a point here. So that's not, and then it just connects them. So it's not going to give us a smooth curve. Okay, and so that's why we don't want this to be 1. We want it to be, I think the default is something close to like 0.13. We obviously can make it even smaller than that. However, the smaller we go, I'll make it 0.05, and let's see what happens. You notice that the longer it takes to graph. Okay, so that, it kind of looks cool. But if I make this too small, let's say not negative, but 0.01, and I graph, well, now it takes, a good amount of time to graph this thing, which is kind of cool to see it occur, but if you make it too small, it's just going to take too long, because now it's plotting a lot more points than you would have to originally plot. Okay, so usually your default, and I've got to wait until this finishes, of about 0.13 usually is pretty good. Okay, we get a good picture of the curve and it graphs quick enough. So the whole point of this was use your calculator to graph these things, but you have to still pay attention to things like what's the period in order for you to get a complete look at the graph.